Drag them back to Alberta. Can the Orange and Blue deny Florida another Stanley Cup championship? We get you set for Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Oilers and the Panthers right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola live on location. Hudsons, Whyte Avenue, a quickly filling up Hudsons, Whyte Avenue. Big shout out to Rob from the Grove, Grumpy Cat, VR Montenegro. The Nasties are showing up. They are ready to go. It's going to be a lot of fun. Nerves, yes. Excitement, yes. Joy, we shall see. Get in on the conversation, 780-218-9999. Get to the Nasty chat as well. Hernan Salas back at EST Global HQ. We're going to be joined by Matt Cassian as well. It's just an hour pregame show. Lots to get to in a short amount of time. How are you feeling? Are you nervous? Are you scared? Are you worried? Are you upset? We want to hear from you. Lay it on. If you need to vent, we're here for you. We want to put it out there. So text us and get into the Nasty chat. Hit that thumbs up button as well. Let's check in with the Latino Heat, Hernan Salas. Nancito, how are we doing, buddy? How are we doing today? You doing okay?
Yeah, feeling good about this game. I think the Oilers have a lot in their favor. I know they haven't been the best team in this series, but they're really good in elimination games. Skinner usually bounces back after getting pulled, some rough outings. I can't see McDavid and Draisaitl having bad games. I just can't, Tom. I've been mulling this over for 2 days, and I just don't think so. So I'm pretty positive about the Oil. I know a lot of people are cautiously optimistic. Some are nervous, some are scared, but embrace this moment. It's great. Your hockey team's in the finals for the second time. This is wonderful. Just think back to all those bad years, Tom. So you gotta embrace it. You gotta enjoy it. I know it comes with a lot of stress and anxiety and all that stuff, but let's go. One game. See if they can push it to another one on Friday, which would be amazing here in Edmonton. I mean, the lead up to that would be outstanding. But first things first, you got to win tonight, and the Oilers are going to need an enormous game from a lot of their guys.
Yeah. The stuff this morning, we posted, Benny Thompson put together a little clip. Our social media is getting way, way better. And the stuff with Verhaeghe, I was thinking about it. Reed and Jay and Belzy were talking about it. I heard Cass talking about it with Joaquin and Dusty on two guys and a goalie. And so if you didn't catch it, I'm pretty sure everybody knows the story but by this point. Like, the Panthers were on the ice this morning. They have their allotted time. Usually it's like either 10 to 11 or 10:30 to 11:30, and then the other team gets the ice 11:30 to 12:30. Like, and that's kind of what the setup was supposed to be today. But they're at the practice facility for the Panthers. It's a multi-arena, multi-sheet facility. We know them around here. We have a ton of them. It's not a new concept. But the whole team was on the ice, and then from what Spec put it out there, and I think a few others, Gino tweeted about the situation as well. Verhaeghe wasn't on the ice with his team. He was out there by himself working on some things, and I respect that. You got the slot, go for it. But he took the most time possible. And listen, I personally wouldn't tempt fate doing this if I was just the way I think in my mind. But Verhaeghe's out there doing work on his own stuff on the other sheet of ice, not on the ice with the Panthers. Okay, so he goes to the very last second, and then the Oilers are trying to go on the ice early. They're being told, no, you can't go on the ice. You can't go on the ice. There's a flood that needs to happen. The Oilers said, no flood, get the hell off the ice. It's their time to take over. And then the rink guys come out there, and the rink guys start like dicking around with the ice and start putting the drilling in the pegs and this and that. And one of our local reporters put I think it was Gene who had a photo, and one rink guy is leaning back on the net. The other guy is like drilling the hole for the marsh peg. And then the Oilers you can see wheeling around. That means, they're just another nuisance for them as they try to get their practice going. I thought, and I went all in on this morning, Nanso, and that's what we posted. I said, that's bad juju. That's the hockey gods give it, the hockey gods take it, and I stand by it. Even though some people are like, that's nothing. Come on, that's nothing. I think there's something to it. I think the Oilers look at that and go, all right, if this is how it's going to be, you guys don't want to play that way, we'll just beat you. And the Oilers haven't been the better team in this series, Hernan. That's fair to say. But that doesn't mean that doesn't add just that little bit of motivation for them to go over the top. It's that I saw some people respond with the meme like Michael Jordan, and I took that personally. You're just giving them another outlet to be mad at you if you're the Florida Panthers. That's how I looked at it this morning.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially for Carter Verhaeghe, where like he's playing in this city. Everybody else is not, and they can do whatever they want, and they're trying to mess with the Oil, and I get it. Sure, do whatever you want that you think is an advantage or you're getting to them. But one, I don't think it bugs the Oilers that much. I think they're like, yeah, they're just being idiots, blah, blah, blah. Let's worry about what we have to do.
They are being
Carter
idiots.
Verhaeghe, like to do that and be like, why am I, if I'm his coach or his team, I'm like, why are you giving them, even if it's a small fire, very tiny, why are you giving them a reason to be even more pissed off? Why are you doing this? That's what I would have said. Now, it's like you said, you went all in. I'm kind of looking at it more like, I don't think the Oilers really cared. But again, if I'm a teammate of Carter Verhaeghe, I'm like, why? We don't need to give him anything.
Thinks that, yeah. Part of me thinks that like Paul Maurice would like that,
Yeah, probably. It fits the Florida Panthers kind of MO here, right? Like that's kind of their personality. They're the bully. They're that annoying friend or brother or whatever you want to call it. Like they just
rat.
Yeah, they just don't get it, and it'll continue to piss you off in certain ways. But then that's the thing with the Oilers, Tommy. The Oilers can't let that kind of stuff get to them. Right?
True. But if you use it as fuel to the fire, I think it could be just another little thing. So anyway, I went in on that, and some people were like, "Oh, way to make a big deal out of it." That's fine.
Hey,
That's
we look
fine.
at everything, man. It's
yes,
because if it was the other way around, it'd be thinking like, "What are the Oilers doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you giving them extra fire?" I agree. I think it's a lot smaller than other situations we've seen, Tommy. But I still think it's a little bit of a spark for the Oilers to be like, "Yeah, you want to be, you want to act like this, sure."
Yeah, and there are hockey guys out there that know they've been through it, they've experienced stuff like that. It doesn't bother them. There's hockey guys out there. They're like, yeah, that would piss me off. And guess what? I would put it in my memory bank and I'd use it. And then I would do everything. It's just that little bit that would piss me off. Be like, you know what? I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna play them tonight, and I'm gonna just shove it down their throats. They want to be little dickheads about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
You want to get back at them? Win the damn game.
Exactly. I apologize for using the word Richard Head. 780-218-9999. Let's get to the question of the night. Cass will be joining us in a few minutes. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Hernan Salas, take it away.
Yeah, it's a simple one. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. 2 games left. Is Stuart Skinner the most important player for the Oilers in tonight's game? Tommy?
Yeah, he's vital. But I'll say no, he isn't. I will say that it's Connor or Leon or both. I know some people also there's been a lot of debate and discussion, but some people don't like the whole legacy game and building their legend and all that. But I think it's on these guys. You have 1 game for sure left, maybe 2 if you can force a 7th game. And it startled me a little bit when another media member from out of town, national guy, said, if they don't win the Stanley Cup, people are going to start to ask if they can get the job done. And I was like, whoa. And you think about it, well, what's Leon now? 29, Connor's 28. They've been to 2 Cup finals. They've been to a conference. They're damn good. They're right in their wheelhouse. And you never know. The season is long. There were so many times this year where we were talking about, is this team good enough? Is this team good enough? They get to the playoffs, start off bad, and then they crank it up. I do think there is something to these two, and I'm not saying they've been bad. They've been good players for the Oilers in the final. The Panthers have been good, but I think it's the most important player is either Connor or Leon or both of them. Stu Skinner's up there, but not the most important, in my opinion. How about you, Nanso?
Yeah, I was leaning more towards Skinner because I think if Skinner's on and has a great game, they can win without McDavid and Draisaitl being at their best or producing. Do you know what I mean? Like if they get a two-goal, if they win 2-0 or 2-1, Skinner's absolutely amazing. They can get it done, right? So I think Skinner tonight has to outperform Bob, Tommy, because like you said, Draisaitl, McDavid, yes, they haven't been at the top, like they're not matching the Florida Panthers top players right now. But in saying that, they're still producing, right? They're still getting their points. I don't think they've been terrible. I think they just need to find another gear here. I think they've been good, okay to good. But where Stuart Skinner, for me, this is where it lies, man, because this team needs to play with a lead tonight. This team needs to be solid in every facet, special teams, 5-on-5. And for me, I look at Stuart Skinner, you have to outperform Bobrovsky, and that's the big one for me tonight.
An early goal would just kill the Buzz, right?
Oh,
it would suck the wind out of the sails.
You can't keep chasing the game, Tom, and you can't keep coming back because they've done it a lot this postseason. And, you know, we've all watched sports long enough. Sometimes that stuff runs out when you get to game 6 and 7s of the final, right? Like, you got to play with a lead. You got to be solid. There will be lapses. I think both teams go through them where the other team pushes hard and there's good chances there. But for me, it's got to be the first goal. You got to finish the first period with the lead. Like, it's so important because if Florida scores first, Tom, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Noted. I was just trying to think, well, if Florida scores first, they could always come back, and we expect them to come back, and they keep coming back. But that's
they did in last game.
That's blood in the water. They did, but that's blood in the water, and that's a dangerous game to play at this point now, where the cup is literally on the line, and the Panthers, if you give them an inch, they're going to try to take a mile, and they probably will get that mile because they know how close they are. So I do look back at last year and how Edmonton managed to claw its way out of a 3-0 deficit in the series and go, well, there should be some of that still kicking around. Edmonton has pulled off a couple wins already in this series.
How do you
They have one in Florida.
Because I look at last year, Tom, and they're down 3-0. To come back and win 4 would have been, one of the greatest comebacks in sports history, right?
Yes.
When they lost in Game 7, obviously I know it hurt the fans and the players, but that was a tough ask. Being down 3-0, having to fight back, claw your way back. It's a little bit different this year because I feel like it was a missed opportunity in Game 5 for the Oilers, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, how do you compare the two series, final series, and where we're at today where they're facing elimination once again?
I actually think Edmonton has a better chance this year, even though they're on the cusp of losing. If they lose tonight, I think they understand they can handle the situation better. Yeah. They should, in theory, handle it better. They lost that overtime game in Game 2. Yes, they got their asses kicked in Game 3. I think that was a lot of their own undoing, getting derailed by early penalties. Yes, Kane, part of it. I talked about that after the game and in the following days after that. But Draisaitl hopping off the bench, too many men. It's a lack of focus. Arvidsson, a weak call on the too many men, or the goalie interference, pardon me. It sent the game sideways, and it really set the tone the rest of the way. But I don't know. To me, like, they can still pull this off. The task isn't as insurmountable as it was last year. So that's why I'm like, you know what? We might have hockey on Friday.
Yeah.
Empty the tank. Empty the tank.
And maybe, like, this is more on the fan side, but I like Tommy, it's just there's something with these generational talents that they figure it out. And they're down a game. I truly can't see Connor McDavid losing this game. And I know it's not all on him. But these players can will their team to wins, and I think Connor has that in him. He's the same the same talents as Wayne, Mario, Sidney Crosby. Like, he has that in him, and he has a guy that's outstanding in Leon Draisaitl. I can't see those two letting this slip away once again. I can't. I'm sorry.
Cal in the Park and Sarah have joined the fray, and Cal's wearing his Tommy's Tab t-shirt. Very nice. I like that. I appreciate that very much. Good contingent of nasties. If this is the last one, I have to say the nasties have been excellent all playoffs long. We've had a lot of people come down to all of the various locations we've been at. A big thank you to everybody at Hudsons Whyte, which has been awesome. Connor and the crew here has been excellent. Hudson's, Bourbon Street, Steve and Adam, and to Borley and the Hudson's crew. Thank you, Tony and Curtis at BP Westgate. Phenomenal year. And big thank you. It might not be done, but TN and the staff at Ice House. So I want to get that in as well. Let's get to some texts, and we're going to get Cass in here, our game analyst with Game Changers. Coach Mike texting in says, I'm feeling something tonight. McDavid plays playoff game 96 tonight and game 97 on Friday. It's happening. Oil in 7. That text from Coach Mike. Let's go to Mike outside of Edmonton, not to be confused with Coach Mike. Says 29, 97, and 74 need to have the game of their lives tonight, and then hopefully Friday. Florida has played terrible at home until this series. Just really quickly for a recap on where Florida's at home in the playoffs. Their record, it wasn't particularly good coming in. 5-4 going into this game at Amerant Bank Arena. The Wolf, what does the Wolf have to say today? That was something to do with logistics out in Fox Creek. Barry Getman says Stu Skinner has one more shutout in him. I hope it's Friday with the winky face. Dirty Curdy says the Oilers maintenance crew should take a page out of the Celtics playbook. After the Oilers win 7, shut off the hot water so the Panther players only get cold water. That's funny. Cruel. I would be like, shouldn't do that, but shouldn't doesn't mean you don't. Spruce Grove Corey says, boys, when, not if, these teams get back to town for Game 7, I better not hear about any Dairy Queens serving up blizzards to the Panthers. Absolutely embarrassing. As we welcome in our game analyst, Matt Cassian, for Game Changers. Game Changers, as always, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting has been a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. Community-driven. He understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cass, what do you make of people buying Panthers players Dairy Queen and being really friendly to them at gyms and stuff like that? Like, to me, it's like, do you like the Oilers or do you hate the Panthers, or are you just starstruck?
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, you feed them that much dairy, maybe someone's lactose intolerant, and you're crippling them, giving them too much sugar that they don't need.
Yes.
I don't know. Listen, being kind to people is good, right? So just be kind.
That's true.
If you're doing it as a nice gesture because you're trying to be sweet, that's fine. But let's hope the Oilers win, and let's hope. Man, I don't know. I say that at the same time. I'm like, yeah, you like slipping laxatives in those Dairy Queen blizzards. Like, what are you trying to do? I don't know. It's a funny thing. Obviously, started with the whole Brad Marchand and the blizzards thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Say hi to the people. Get a picture. Leave them alone.
Yeah. By the way, new summer menu here at Hudson's. This is the Dr. Coco mocktail. Absolutely delicious. Can't recommend it enough. I got one for VR Montenegro, and he has been enjoying it thoroughly. All right, Cass, let's dive into Game Changers. Heading into this 6th game of the Stanley Cup final. The Oilers on the cusp of losing for a 4th straight year to the eventual Cup winner, unless they change their fortunes. Number 1, score first.
Ooh, this is a big one, Tom. This is a big one. They've been brutal in the first period.
Yes.
Absolutely brutal in the first period. And it's been talked about more and more in this series as the series has gone on. But the starts of their games have just been flat outside of game 1. They've really been flat. And this is something, Tom, and we talked about it on the Two Guys in a Goalie podcast this afternoon, but this is something that's kind of plagued them for this year and last year, not just in the playoffs, but overall as a team, is like not being ready at the start of games, or not being enthusiastic and energetic and up tempo at the beginning of games. And that's really cost. I mean, just look at the goal differential since game one has been absolutely atrocious in favor of the Florida Panthers. And for the Edmonton Oilers, it's easy for me to sit here and say, hey, you just got to start well. But you do just got to start well. Florida is going to make a massive push. They really are. They are going to make a massive push today. They have their sights set on a Stanley Cup. And for the Edmonton Oilers, like you come out flat like you did in games 4 and 5 and really since game 3, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Like you can't tell me that this team, the Florida Panthers, is going to give you an inch. They're not going to give you an inch if they have the lead. Now, if you have the lead, all of a sudden you're in a much better position. And realistically, really, you might have to weather the storm a little bit in the first 5 minutes because Florida's just they're going to press right off the drop of the puck. They are going to press aggressively, and you have to be clean and crisp. And it may be a bend but don't break, but you got to survive the first 5 minutes. And realistically, Tom, you have to survive the first 20 minutes and be even or better coming out of that. But getting that start is just so important. Like, you have that enthusiasm off the start. It is too difficult to try to have another comeback game. And I know you've done it multiple times in the playoffs, but just don't do that. Like, let's start with the comeback attitude right from the drop of the puck. And that momentum and that speed and that aggression that is just, when the Oilers are at their best, is dominating. You know, we've only seen a couple periods of that this series, and they need to bring that, Tom, right from the drop of the puck. The start of the game tonight is so critical.
Really quickly, Cass, if I said, and we talked about a post game the other night, it felt like they backed into the game, they were timid, toe in the water, whatever analogy you'd like to use. Did it surprise you that they were on their back foot to start that game a little bit, considering how much good momentum and energy was coming into that game, where they were at? Like, that worried me, the way they backed into that game.
Yeah, it did worry me. And it worried me even more game 5, how they kind of backed into the game. Like, they had a couple good shifts. You had 1 or 2 chances, the Connor Brown chance early on. But they just kind of faded into it. It's like they're like slowly turning up the volume. They're kind of, tapping the cruise control one higher every couple of miles, sort of thing. Just stepping on the gas pedal. Like, that's what it felt like. And was it surprising? Yes. Was it shocking? Yes. Was it worrying? Yes.
Yeah.
And not be. I mean, this isn't the dog days in the middle of January. Like, this isn't 3 or 4 games to go before Christmas break. Like, these aren't the dog days of the season. This is the Stanley Cup final, and you're backing your way and easing your way into games. And it's really hard to see. And it's not, I don't think it's like they're not trying to work hard. They're not going into the game being like, oh, we're not going to work very hard. We're just going to mail this one in. That's not the mentality going into the games. Like, they want to come out and they want to play well. They want to have a good start, but they just are falling flat. And I don't have an answer for it. Ekholm, in his interviews, he didn't have an answer for it. I don't think anyone has an answer for it. But the reality is if that happens again, and if they can't find an answer for it, they're going to be in a world of hurt. It's shocking how they've backed into the last couple of games.
Nanso, what do you got?
Cass, you know what's interesting, because I think everybody today on the shows has been talking about they need to score first, but it's kind of interesting to me because, like you just mentioned, the Oilers kind of the last 2 games have started good with the first 3-4 shifts, right? And then it just goes away, right? So it is interesting to see how they do that today for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to ask you because I know we're on Game Changers, but I do want to get your thoughts on this. Is Stuart Skinner the most important player tonight for the Edmonton Oilers?
Is he the most important player?
That's the question of the night.
That's the question of the night. It's a good question of the night. No. Nope. I do not think so. I'm going to go with a different one. A player that I think has struggled, that I think they need to be really good today. And Stuart Skinner is very important. He'd be very high on my list. But you know who's number 1 on my list? Who they need a game from? And I'm not. It's not even who you think it is. I'm going to go with Matthias Ekholm. Needs to have. But why? You might be asking. Well, why wouldn't I say McDavid? Why wouldn't I say Draisaitl? Why wouldn't I say Skinner, who are the next three on my list? In no particular order. It's because Matthias Ekholm has really, really struggled. He has really struggled.
Yeah.
For most of the series. He's okay in game one, and in the last two games in particular, he has not hit that level. And I think he needs to hit that level because they need him to be able to contribute, to move the puck. And Bouchard's trying to do what he can, but you need another guy at that level going. And I think Ekholm's that guy. And so I think Ekholm is right at the top of the list of a guy that just needs to have a fantastic night. It is one of, if not the most important guys. Skinner very high on the list too. He does need to have a great night. Especially again, early in that hockey game, I think when Florida makes a push, or if it's not early, whenever Florida makes a push, because they will at some point, then he will be very, very important. But to me, it's like you need Skinner to be good, because if Skinner has to be at like his absolute best, like if you need Skinner to be your best player, and if you need Skinner to be at the level where he's just like we go to like back to that LA game earlier in the season when it's just like he's just absolutely just doing everything. What does that say about where the rest of the team is at? Like that tells me that the rest of the team is flat and not very good. Like if you need Stuart Skinner to be the best player on the ice, that tells me that your best players aren't being your best players, and that tells me that your team is probably playing flat. So yes, Stuart Skinner is important, but to me it's like it's everybody else. Now Stuart Skinner, yes, needs to be good. Can't let in weak ones, absolutely. But he is not the most important guy in this team, because if he is, that means that the team is flat again. And if the team is flat again, they do not deserve to win the Stanley Cup. Simple as that. Like they don't. You can't have 3 flat games in the Stanley Cup final and expect to win. So if the team is flat, then all of a sudden he becomes the most important, but we got bigger issues, and you're probably not going to win.
I understand wholeheartedly what you mean with Ekholm, and you do need him to be a leader. I am concerned about his level of health. I really am, I think he's been exposed here.
And Nuge too, guys.
Absolutely.
Like Nuge can't even skate, right? Like he's at this point. I get it's late, right? He's not skating, Tom. I mean, it's not a leg injury, right? So obviously he's not even close to where they need Nuge to be. But you got one game, hopefully 2 games to go. So I think it's these guys are not going to hold back now, right? That's a great answer, Cass. I didn't think of Ekholm, but you're right, because last game he struggled mightily, and they need this guy.
They absolutely need him. And just on the Nuge thing, like why skate? Like you're not getting in better shape from a leg standpoint. So if you have an injury, you're not going to skate.
Yeah.
The bottom line. Like, but yes, there are concerns there too. And really it's, depending on what happens tonight as we look back and we'll dissect. If they win, obviously we'll be ecstatic and other things to talk about, but we'll be talking about injuries, how that affects them, how that affects Nuge, because that is a big one. Hyman's clearly a massive one, but yeah, I mean, listen, we could pick other guys too. I know I singled out Ekholm. Bouchard needs to be really good too. Nurse needs to be really good too. Kulak needs to be really good too. Wallman needs to be really good too. Like that entire defensive core, if I could pick multiple players, I'm like, that whole defensive core is who really, really needs to bring it. Because I think if they have a night, then you automatically, your forwards are going to be better. Automatically, Stuart Skinner doesn't have to be otherworldly to win you a hockey game. So it's just super, super important.
All right, that was an elongated number 1 on Game Changers. Good conversation there. Yeah. It was score first, and then it went into the question of the night, which is who is the Oilers' most important player tonight. You can text us. Let us know your thoughts and why. 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. It is Game Changers brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate, Tom Gazzola, Matt Cassian, and Hernan Salas with you here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. All right, Cass, point number 2 of Game Changers. Skinner saves.
Yeah, we kind of just talked about this, didn't we?
A little bit, yeah.
Unpacked it already, where I feel like, I think he needs to be good tonight. And I think there's going to be, at some point in the game, a 5 to 10 minute stretch where he does need to be great. Now, when that could be, depends on how the Oilers come out. If they come out flat, which would terrify me, he's going to need to be really, really good and great early on. if they come out well and they play well, it probably will be later in the game when Florida makes a push where he's going to have to make a couple of saves, going to have to make that extra save as people talk about, and going to have to be good. And as I said, like I don't think he's the most important, but he's certainly up there in terms of the importance that Stuart Skinner has a night tonight. That we've seen him rebound well in games after he's been sat. We've seen him rebound well after he's been sat in playoffs, and hopefully this is one of those nights. They do need him to be good. But as I said before, guys, if Stuart Skinner has to be your best player, they're in serious, serious trouble. He shouldn't have to be. We need their best players to be their best players. We need their defensemen to pick up the slack. We need the team as a whole to not be flat and to play a full game of intensity. With all that being said, Stuart Skinner's pretty important tonight. Can't let any weak ones in. That's the big part of it. And Tommy, gotta make that one extra save as much as we don't, and I don't think he deserves to be asked that of him. Probably gonna have to.
I understand going to Calvin Pickard. It was the logical choice. The guy was 7-0, comes in when things were tough in game 4, helps lead you to victory, gets some big saves, gets pieces of pucks on great scoring opportunities for the Panthers in overtime, and you get the win, so you got to ride him. I understand why the Oilers went to Calvin Pickard in game 5. It wasn't his fault that they lost, but the Stu Skinner start tonight I also thought was inevitable given what happened in game number 5. All right, so Skinner saves is point number 2 on Game Changers. As we go to the final point of Game Changers, point number 3, Cass, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Oilers handle getting into the offensive zone, but it begins with the neutral zone and then more specifically the D zone. So you're bringing up speed in transition.
Yeah, that speed in transition is going to be huge. It's just something that they have lacked. It's been throw the puck from the defensive zone up to the far blue line and chip it in or tip it in and maybe try to get some forechecking pressure, but they haven't had enough speed in transition that has enabled them. So when they've got the puck,
right,
and Florida's pressuring, they have not done a good enough job moving in the other direction. Not just one guy, not just two guys, but as a team transitioning and moving the other direction with speed and execution. They haven't done that. They have not carried the puck across the blue line nearly as much as they typically do in possession. Threateningly, not just getting it across the line, but threateningly in possession. We have not seen them generate multiple odd man rushes. We have not seen them be able to cleanly beat Florida's forecheck under pressure. Again, in transition when they're going back to get pucks. Is it a difficult thing to do? Yes, it is absolutely difficult to do. Florida dogs you. They are on you. They pressure. They're aggressive. I get that. But Edmonton has not executed either. They have not executed cleanly. And that transition is, and we've talked about it multiple times, and I'm trying to think of different ways to word things, but it's like that transition game with good, close support just has not been there. And that to me is a huge sign of them being flat or not. Like, are they supporting the puck well? Mm-hmm. Are they getting back well for their defensemen to give them outs? Are the defensemen clean, or are they just soft rimming the puck, hoping something happens? Those are big parts of this game is, A, not having those soft rims, and B, as a whole, those defensemen being able to get their toes pointed up ice under pressure and making clean plays to forwards who have worked back to provide support. I understand you want to try to stretch out the defense of the Florida Panthers and try to stretch out that pressure. At the same time, it hasn't been working, and you haven't been generating offense from it. So you tighten up a little bit, getting closer support lanes, and try to attack with speed and transition.
Do you use the middle more, Cass? Or is that the no-go zone? No,
if you're clean, executing, we talked about that in the podcast too. Like when you're under a 2-1-2 with an aggressive pinch type of forecheck, that middle is huge because you can't have your F3, so your third forward on the forecheck. He's the guy that if the defense pinch, he covers back, right? You're picking up that chip out into the neutral zone. You're the guy covering back so that if it's an odd-man rush, at worst it's a 3-on-2, maybe with a late trailer or something coming in, but you're not giving up 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s. And now, if you want to make it challenging for that player, because they kind of have to hover in the middle of the ice you have good center support or support through the middle of the ice, and you can move the pucks there. We call them Chellies after Chris Chelios. Don't ask me why, but that's what we call them. We call them Chellies. But if you can cleanly make those little bumps to the middle to a guy with speed, you are really forcing that F3 to drop lower than they like, and in one pass all of a sudden then beats 3 guys. One pass beats 3 guys, and you're looking at better odd man rushes, or at the least even rushes where you have speed attacking, and the defensemen aren't in full pinch. Like, they have to start backing off the second that they see that middle forward start to go. So, yes, using the middle of the ice is essential. Now you have to be clean with it.
Exactly.
You can't turn the puck over when you're doing it and cough it up to that guy that's, now starting to creep in as an F3, because then that's, stepping into a one-timer or just a wide open shot by himself in the slot. So you got to do it well, but absolutely I think they can utilize the middle of the ice better. That's a great point, Tom.
Hey, thanks, Cass. Yeah, Blind Scroll finds a nut every now and then. 780-218-99.
Do all the time, Tommy. Do all the time.
Oh, you. 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. I will get to a few texts, and if you want to bounce anything off of Cass or any of us, fire those our way. I started the show referencing something I talked about. I kind of went all in on this. I know you were talking about a bit of it on Two Guys and a Goalie. Fantastic show on our station here. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I talked about like the dinking around with the practice ice. When the Oilers went on early, they wanted to go on early. Verhaeghe's the only guy shooting pucks or whatever, working on his game, quote unquote. And then the coaches are like, hey, they're going to flood first as Connor. Oh, thank you. Big shout out and cheers to Connor.
The last one.
The last one. Connor and the crew from Hudsons. Salute to everybody.
Salute.
Oh, you were a mean boy. You were a mean boy. All right. Anyway, so I went all in on the, hey, that pisses the Oilers off, Cass. And they'll remember it. It'll fuel their fire. And I know I listened to you, and you kind of like, yeah, whatever. Belsey kind of, yeah, whatever. But you guys also did add but there's still that, like, do you really need to poke the Oilers like that? To me, I would, if I was on the Oilers, I'd be furious.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
and
screw you guys.
Yeah, I think chewing on it a little bit, because I didn't, when Dusty dropped that on us, like, I was the first, I hadn't heard that they had done that. Mm-hmm. And in thinking that through, I wonder if that was a bad decision, because it's like earlier in the series, for sure, all about it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you got him on the brink. Like, do you want to try to do something just to add a little bit of fuel to the fire? Like, I get it, game 1, game 2, whatever, game 3, like, you're trying to mess with, but you have them on the brink here. And now you're going to throw that to try to do something extra. It does. Again, it's not like it's something that's absolutely bad, horrible. Like, because maybe Verhaeghe did just want to be on the ice and was trying to feel something. Sure. So, like, maybe you weren't even trying to do it, but it certainly comes across that way in that they may have poked the bear a little bit. Let's hope they did, Tom. Let's hope there's that anger and that mild frustration from that just sparks some jump from the Edmonton Oilers.
Cass, thank you for shedding a little bit of light and chewing on it some more. The part of it that got me was I saw the picture. I can't remember if it was Gino or Spec. Someone had a photo, and it was the one rink guy leaning on the net, in the net, while the other guy worked on drilling the holes for the marsh peg. And you saw the Oilers wheeling around. And that was the one where I'm like, I know exactly what they're doing. And he's not letting them shoot at the net. They're just being extra caught, making sure everything's okay, doing their job. But I was just like, noted.
Yep.
Anyway, it's just, and the way the guy was leaning on the net too, obnoxious. Like, nope, this is, you guys shouldn't be out here yet.
The
Sorry.
The smugness. The smugness gets you every time. Yeah, it just drives you nuts.
Anyway, I went all in on it, and there were some responses being like, oh, that's ridiculous. Do you guys not have anything better to talk about? To me, it's a thing, and I do believe in hockey gods and the karma of the game, and you're tempting fate a bit. So anyway, I want to get your thoughts on it. Nat, so you got anything for Cass?
Yeah, one last one, Cass, for you. Evander Kane, he's been an interesting player in this series, kind of taking a step back from what we saw in the first 3 rounds. A lot of penalties. He gets bumped up now to the second line. What do you think the Oilers need from this guy? Because listen, I understand people don't want him taking penalties, but that's kind of his game, right? Is to muck it up, get physical, and all that. What do you expect from Evander Kane tonight?
Well, you don't want him taking high sticking penalties. Like if Evander Kane, like if you're finishing a hit and your shoulder rides up and they give you a roughing penalty, like you deal with it. If you have a hard hit on a guy in a corner and they're like, oh, maybe it's boarding, and it's like a borderline call or like a borderline hit from behind where it's not really, but maybe it's close to, and they end up calling it, you deal with those. Those are hard penalties to take. But high sticking is not a hard penalty to take. That's a foolish penalty to take where you're just, for whatever reason, just not in control of your stick. Those ones you can't take. So, and it is obvious. Yeah. What do we expect? Well, I expect him to not take any dumb penalties. That's what we want. Number one. Number two, I expect him to be a physical presence on the forecheck. And number three, I expect him to get to the front of the net. Get to Bobrovsky, get on the edge of the crease, and make life difficult for him and for the defenseman. I don't think Edmonton has done that enough for Bobrovsky. I don't think they've done it enough, really, to Florida's defense. And there's been multiple issues or multiple things that have factored into that. But with Evander Kane now playing and moving up the lineup, that's where he needs to be. He needs, when they have the puck in the offensive zone, he needs to be basically all around the crease. I don't care what side of it he's on. Just create havoc. Create havoc. Maybe slide to the back door sometimes. Maybe directly engage in front. But just make it difficult for Bobrovsky to look around you. Make it difficult for the defenseman to clear you out and try to find some garbage around the net. There hasn't been enough of that for the Oilers. And with Evander Kane playing there, that's what I want to see from him tonight.
All right, we got a text that came in. It's a question for Cass, 780-218-9999. It's from Doof. When a player doesn't skate, like Nugent Hopkins, how hard or simple is it to jump into a game? Aren't you missing the rhythm and the flow of the game plan? Cass, what would you say to Doof?
Yeah, you can be. You can be, but it... Like what's the alternative? Is stepping on the ice and injuring it further and not being able to go at all? Like yes, you may not have the same touch and rhythm and feel, and that is difficult. However, you're also dealing with a physical body that has limitations and freezing and all just, you're trying to do what's going to give you the best chance at having the best night possible, and not skating oftentimes if it's an injury that you could aggravate it or re-injure it or make it worse. Like you just don't.
This text comes in from Rush, the beer league goalie. Says, when it comes to Ekholm, the Oilers have a 4.6 GA with him in the lineup. They were solid defensively, albeit against weaker foes prior to his return. Unfortunately, he's not 100% and has been slow and hurting the team. And he was talking about like maybe seeing Ekholm sit tonight, but you can't do that, right, Cass? Like, even though he's at maybe like 60%, 65%, just having his presence there helps the group, I would say. That would be my assumption. What would you say to that? Yeah,
well, you're looking at what are the alternatives. What are the
They're
alternatives?
Not good. That's the answer.
Right? That's the answer. And that tells you right there. And not, Stetcher had a couple really good games in the playoffs where he stepped in the Dallas series and did some really good things. Was efficient, was solid, rock solid, but he hasn't been so much since he stepped into this series. It's a little more aggressive, a little more pressure, or a lot more pressure from Florida, and they just don't have another alternative that's going to give you those type of minutes. So it's tough. You wish it wasn't the case, but it is. That's what you're going to have to deal with, which is why, for me, Ekholm is the most important player on the Oilers tonight.
Do you see what you just did there? You bookended that.
Brought it all the way back around. Yeah.
That's a pro broadcaster right there. Well done, Cass. That's a great way to wrap up Game Changers. That's why you're one of the best in this market, if not the best. And we're fortunate to have a bunch of excellent analysts like yourself, Gager, and Belzy. I hope to God this is not our last pregame show of the year, Cass, because you've been crushing it all season long, and I hope we get to do it on Friday.
That would be fun. Game 7s are more fun, so let's hope for that.
Let's go. Get that positive juju in the air. Cass, we'll see you on the post-game show.
See ya, fellas.
There you go. There's Matt Cassian, our game analyst with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Let's get into Game Day Odds Check brought to you by our friends and partners over at Play Alberta. Make your bets count for you and everyone else with the Play Alberta app with hundreds of player prop bets on the biggest leagues, NFL, CFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, you name it. You're not just playing for fun. You're supporting your province. Play Alberta revenue helps fund Alberta programs and services. Deposit today with promo code YEG50, Y-E-G, all caps, 50, and get an EST exclusive $50 free bet to get started. Your money line for today at Play Alberta, Edmonton -30, Florida -167. Your puck line, Edmonton -227, Florida +140. The over-under set at 6.5. The over at -111. The under at -125. Nancito, what you got?
Yeah, I said Oilers 4-2, so I'd have to take the under. Yeah.
I'm hitting the over all day,
Are
day.
you?
It just keeps happening. Like I think we talked about it. Maybe game 4 and definitely game 5 going into it. It's like, this is going to be the tight game. This is going to be the tight game. Nope.
It just never happens.
Lots of goals. Yeah, it doesn't happen. So I'll stick with the over. Yeah, I mean, this series has had craziness. It has had offense galore. Unfortunately, it's been more red lights going on behind the nets and backs of the Oilers netminders. So
Yeah.
we'll see if they can reverse that tonight. All right, that was your Game Day Odds Check brought to you by Play Alberta. Looking forward to getting to the Play Alberta field at Commonwealth Stadium on Thursday night. Hopefully we're talking and anticipating about and for a Game 7 on Thursday. What a nice little appetizer before the full meal deal that would be.
That'd be unreal, man.
Yes, it would be.
I can't imagine the rest of the week if the Oilers win tonight. It would.
I know.
It would be.
You think people
unreal.
are nervous now? My goodness. All right, let's get to your starting lineups brought to you by South Fort Chev. Go see Daniel and his team in the Fort. They'll give you $1,000 extra credit on your trade and drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. See dealer for details at www.southfortchev.com. For the oil, McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Perry. Nugent Hopkins did not take the morning skate. Draisaitl between Kane and Kapanen. Henrique with Jeff Skinner and Trent Frederick. Matthias Janmark between Vasily Podkolzin and Connor Brown. I'm just watching the Oilers now on the ice in Florida. Looking to see if there's Nugent Hopkins. Okay, good. That's good to see. On defense, Ekholm expected to be paired up with Bouchard. Nurse with Kulak. They need that pair to be much better. I think everybody is in agreement on that. Wallman with Klingberg. Let's see if they can rekindle some of the magic that they had in prior rounds. So no Victor Arvidsson, no Troy Stetcher. And let's head to the Panthers side of things. Barkov between Verhaeghe and Reinhart. Bennett between Rodriguez and Kachuk. Lundell with Losterinen and Marchand. Nosek with Greer and Gadjevich. On defense, Forsling with Ekblad. Nico Mikkola with Seth Jones. Nate Schmidt with Dmitry Kulikov. Isn't it incredible that they've been able to run it back essentially all series long? I know they tweaked the top two lines for a game or two, and then, of course, AJ Greer was good to go and replace Jesper Boqvist. To me, that's pretty impressive. That's confidence from Paul Maurice. I don't know if you do anything else, honestly, Hernan, in this series with that lineup.
No, I mean, Greer was a guy that, even though a fourth line guy, that you knew as soon as he was ready, he was going to draw back in. He's an absolute beast out there. Big boy. And like you said, man, they're running it back. And I was talking, who was I talking about Kulikov? And I'm like, the limited time we saw him in Edmonton, he was nothing like this player. I'm sorry. No, it could have been the system. Could have been the
about
team.
him? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Did he all of a sudden 3 years later become this phenomenal NHL defenseman? He was a journeyman. He was just kind of like a gap filler. Wasn't like when they got him, it's like, okay, well, he's better than another guy that they had on the roster throughout that regular season, but he wasn't a solution or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just I think he's been really good. I know he plays third place minutes and all that, but I thought he was really, really good. I think he's been really good.
Look who he's paired up with too, Nate Schmidt.
That's what I mean. A guy that couldn't get a regular minutes in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
right? Like,
good point.
It's interesting.
And Vancouver, and yeah. So anyway, I mean, maybe a product of their surroundings or a result of their surroundings for sure. Okay. Let's get to some text. We should get to starting goalies before we get to some text. You're starting netminders tonight. 26-year-old Stu Skinner for the Oilers, 7-6 this postseason, 299 goals against average, 891 save percentage, 3 shutouts in 14 games in the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. And Skinner versus the Panthers in the Stanley Cup final and playoffs, 4-6 record, 3.0 GA, 889 save percentage in those 11 games he has faced Florida. Sergei Bobrovsky, no surprise there, the 36-year-old, 15-7 this playoff with a 226 goals against average, 912 save percentage, 3 shutouts as well in 22 games for Bobrovsky. He is 7-5 lifetime versus Edmonton, 268 goals against average, 905 save percentage, 1 shutout in those 12 games he's faced the Oil in the postseason over the course of his career. Let's get to the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You have a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Zach Hyman, wrist injury. We will not see him the rest of the way. I think that's pretty evident. We said it at the get-go of his injury against Dallas. And then Alec Regula, I've been throwing him in there because he's been on the IR basically ever since the Oilers picked him up from Boston off of waivers. He did get a contract these playoffs, and 2-year, 2-way deal for Regula. Who knows what comes of him?
We'll see him in September.
Yes, he was skating with the team. He was looking well. And we'll see if they actually have something in Alec Regula because clearly, like the just a quick refresher, the Bruins had a plan for him, and he was drafted by Stan Bowman in Chicago, and he thought he would disrupt that plan and get a quick one on the Bruins by sniping him off of waivers. Florida Panthers, AJ Greer was their only injury this series. They have none. They have been enjoying the good fortune of a healthy roster. Obviously bumps and bruises, but nothing significant enough to keep anyone out of commission. All right, we have a couple minutes left, Nancito. What do you want to say?
Yeah, like I said at the opening, embrace this. This is awesome. Have faith in your team. We'll see what happens. It's not over in the first, people. It's especially knowing the Edmonton Oilers team. They're at their best in these situations. And I'm expecting another tough game, but I do expect the Oilers to come out on top. So, yeah, here it is, hoping for the best, Tom.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Now, on the flip side, of course, Florida does not want to come back to him. Doug Plagens was on Reed's show yesterday, and he goes, I love you, Reed. I love you, Jay. And I love the city of Edmonton. But I do not want to go back to Edmonton until next season.
You know what, Dougie?
Yeah.
I hope to see you on Friday.
Yes.
That's how I feel about that.
Game 7 would just be unreal. The next 2 days would be outstanding here in Edmonton. So let's go. Have some faith. See what the Oilers can do. You need a lot of good performances from a lot of your top dogs. They got to outshine the Florida's top dogs. So let's go, Tommy. It should be a fun one, and I can't wait for post-game. We'll see what happens, brother.
Let's wind things down with Spruce Grove Corey, and then we'll give the big Uke the final say on this pregame show. Hopefully not the last one of this season. Spruce Grove Corey, if you don't know already, he's a wisecracker. He says, I feel like a healthy Alec Regula may have tipped the scales in this final, but that might just be me. Yes, Spruce Grove Corey. Gazzola. Great meme, by the way. Big Uke, you get the last word on this pregame show. Big Uke simply says, let's go. Big Uke, let's indeed. Let's see if the Oilers can drag this bad boy back to Edmonton, bring some magic of Game 7, because that would be wonderful. I'd like to see this city party like it's 1990. That would be great.
Hell yeah.
That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. A huge thank you to Connor and the entire staff here at Hudsons, Whyte Avenue. So good. All of our partners, a big thank you. And I can't say enough good things about how wonderful BP, Westgate, Hudson's, Whyte, and Bourbon, and Ice House have been. For Matt Cassian, for Hernan Salas, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy Game 6. Take a deep breath, mix in a water, and we'll be hopefully talking about a Game 7 on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Until then, ciao for now, everybody. We'll see you.